Have you been thinking that a handful of crunchy, flavorful nuts each day is a healthy snack choice? A smart alternative to junk food? If so, you're not alone. Many people, especially older adults, believe that nuts like almonds, walnuts, peanuts, or cashews are superfoods that support heart health, memory, and overall wellness. But did you know? Some of these seemingly harmless nuts may be quietly damaging your liver day by day. And the scary part is, most people don't realize it until it's too late. The liver is the silent victim of many of our daily eating habits. It doesn't complain, it doesn't hurt until the damage is already severe. And by then, the consequences are often irreversible. A weakened liver can lead to fatigue, poor digestion, dull skin, memory decline, and even a higher risk of chronic liver diseases. Especially in older adults, the liver's ability to detoxify and regenerate declines significantly, making any harmful substance far more damaging than it would be for younger individuals. This is exactly why you need to be extremely cautious with certain types of nuts, no matter how rich and tempting they may appear. Some contain natural toxins, some are contaminated with mold invisible to the naked eye, and others are soaked in oil, sugar, or salt, forcing the liver to work overtime. Many people assume that just a few nuts a day won't do any harm, but over time, those silent damages can add up, becoming a warning sign for your overall health. You might never expect it, but some types of nuts contain compounds that, once inside the body, release cyanide. Yes, the same deadly toxin often compared to arsenic. Others are salt bombs that raise blood pressure and force your liver to work twice as hard to eliminate the excess sodium. Then some contain aflatoxin, the sworn enemy of liver cells. The real problem is, these threats have no smell, no taste, and won't make you feel any different after eating. That's exactly what makes them so dangerous. So, are you eating the right way? Could your favorite nut secretly be plotting to harm your precious liver every single day? If you've ever felt persistent fatigue, unexplained bloating, or have been warned about elevated liver enzymes or mild fatty liver, then you need to pay close attention to this video. The nuts we're about to discuss are not only common in many kitchens, but also one of the most overlooked culprits in the diets of millions of older adults. We're about to reveal 4 common types of nuts that carry hidden risks for your liver, and you'll learn how to identify, eliminate, or safely replace them in simple, practical ways. This isn't just knowledge to protect yourself, but also to help you care for your family and friends, people who may also be unknowingly at risk from these familiar nutritional friends. And you know what? If you find this information helpful, be sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next health alerts. If you've ever had a habit of eating nuts daily, leave a comment saying, "I used to think nuts were healthy," to share your experience with the community. Are you ready? Join us as we uncover 4 types of nuts that may be hiding a silent toxin quietly weakening your liver, starting right now. Have you ever held a handful of seemingly healthy nuts in your hand, thinking you were doing the best thing for your health? Maybe it was a quiet afternoon, you were watching TV, and casually reached for some raw cashews or a few unprocessed walnuts, because you believe natural is best. But what few people ever tell you is that some types of nuts, if eaten the wrong way or in the wrong form, can be even more toxic than arsenic. Sounds like something out of a horror movie, doesn't it? But the scientific reality is far more frightening. In nature, certain types of nuts contain compounds called cyanogenic glycosides, and if not processed properly, these compounds can turn into cyanide inside the body, a deadly poison once used in infamous poisoning cases and now banned worldwide. Let's start with a high-risk candidate, bitter almonds. Even in the US, this nut is not allowed to be sold commercially in its raw, unprocessed form. Why? Because eating just 6 to 10 raw bitter almonds is enough to cause cyanide poisoning in an adult. Children, the number is even lower. The mechanism is simple but dangerous. The cyanogenic glycosides in bitter almonds are broken down by enzymes in the body, releasing hydrogen cyanide, a compound that blocks cells from using oxygen. You can probably imagine what happens next. The cells suffocate, organs begin to fail, and the liver, the body's main filter, is one of the first to suffer the consequences. But it doesn't stop there. Raw cashews. Yes, the kind many people believe are healthier when minimally processed, carry a similar risk. The outer shell of the cashew nut contains a toxic oil called urushiol, the same compound found in poison ivy. This oil not only irritates the skin, but can also affect the liver if any trace remains in the nut's flesh. That's why you rarely see truly raw cashews in supermarkets. They're all steamed or lightly roasted to neutralize the urushiol. Unfortunately, today's online marketplaces are flooded with so-called raw cashews being sold widely, and most buyers have no idea that in this case, raw might mean risky. And then there's the walnut, a symbol of wisdom, with its shape resembling a tiny brain. But if you think eating raw walnuts freshly fallen from the tree is the healthiest option, think again. Unroasted or unprocessed walnuts may contain small amounts of cyanogenic glycosides or natural phenolic compounds that can irritate the liver. This is especially risky for older adults, whose livers no longer function at the same capacity as in youth. Just a few fresh and green, underripe walnuts can place extra pressure on the body's detox system, potentially leading to mild but persistent liver inflammation, like a small flame quietly smoldering beneath a layer of ash. Many people still believe that a toxin is only harmful if you consume a lot of it. But just like arsenic, the classic poison once used in mysterious murders during the Middle Ages, these natural glycosides can gradually accumulate over time, especially if your body, like that of many older adults, no longer processes toxins efficiently. They don't cause an immediate shock, but instead silently damage the liver, the organ already working overtime every day to handle food, medications, and environmental pollutants. What's even more frightening is the false sense of safety when eating these nuts. Because no one warns you. Because they have no unusual taste or smell. Because they're labeled as natural, clean, or vegan, making people unsuspecting. So, does that mean we should eliminate these nuts from our diet? No. The key lies in how they're prepared, choosing the right sources, and understanding your own body. Because within these nuts are also valuable nutrients, as long as the hidden threats are properly neutralized. But these three types of nuts are just the tip of the iceberg. There are still at least a few more silent enemies waiting for you in the next section. One of them often shows up at weekend parties, aromatic and delightfully crunchy, yet leaves your liver crying for help after every indulgent bite. Have you ever unknowingly aided these hidden killers? We're about to uncover the truth. If you think only raw, unprocessed nuts are dangerous, the truth might surprise you even more. Right inside the snack bags you buy at the supermarket or the neatly packed jars of nuts in your kitchen cabinet, there may still be traitors silently contributing to the weakening of your liver, the quiet yet vital organ responsible for filtering toxins out of your body. Salted nuts, tasty but silently destructive. Imagine yourself watching TV at night, holding a jar of salted roasted cashews. Each nut is golden, crunchy, with just the right salty flavor that makes it impossible to stop. You eat one handful, then another, and before you know it, you've consumed more salt than the daily recommended limit. This is the sweetest trap, the delicious taste masking a false sense of safety. Many salted roasted nuts, especially peanuts, sunflower seeds, and salted cashews, can contain up to 400 to 500 milligrams of sodium in just 30 grams, equivalent to 1/5 of the World Health Organization's daily salt intake recommendation. For older adults, who are already more prone to high blood pressure, fluid retention, or kidney issues, this is like an invisible bullet aimed straight at the body's filtration and detox systems, especially the liver and kidneys. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that excessive salt intake increases the risk of liver tissue damage, particularly in cases where liver issues, such as fatty liver, are already present. Because the liver and kidneys have to work harder to eliminate excess sodium, this overexertion can lead to chronic inflammation, liver fibrosis, and reduced filtering efficiency over time. Ironically, many people believe that eating nuts is healthy eating. And it's true. If the nuts are raw, unsalted, oil-free, and sugar-free, they are indeed a valuable source of nutrition. But once they are seasoned, those benefits seem to wash away with every grain of salt. If you've ever loved salted roasted nuts, leave a comment saying, "I used to think they were good for my liver," to share your experience with the community. Fried and sugar-coated nuts. Tasty, but a hidden threat. If salt is a silent attacker, then sugar and oxidized fats in crispy fried nuts are the sophisticated saboteurs hiding beneath a delicious disguise. Just think of honey-roasted cashews. The name alone makes many mouths water. But did you know that just 50 grams of sugar-coated cashews can contain over 10 grams of added sugar? Not to mention the high-heat frying oils, often cheap vegetable oils already oxidized. These substances don't just quietly damage liver structure. They cause low-grade liver inflammation, the kind your body can't feel, but that builds up day by day, week by week, year by year. A report from Harvard Health Publishing states, sugar and oxidized fats are among the top risk factors for metabolic disorders and fat accumulation in the liver, even in people who don't drink alcohol. This makes older adults, whose metabolic functions have already declined, easy targets for foods that appear harmless. The serious issue here is that the liver has no sensory nerves. You won't feel pain, tightness, or any obvious symptoms until the liver is overwhelmed. That's why many people only discover liver disease when it's already too late. In a study conducted in Japan with over 4,000 participants aged 60 and older, those who consumed fried and sugar-coated nuts more than 3 times a week had a nearly 40% higher rate of fatty liver compared to those who ate raw nuts or none at all. The accumulation of fat in the liver happens quietly but steadily, and once it passes a certain threshold, the body gradually loses its ability to heal itself. You see, the real danger doesn't come from anything dramatic. It's the small, repeated actions each day that quietly take their toll. A bag of crispy nuts after a meal, a can of salted nuts while watching TV. Over time, your liver silently bears the burden of it all. So what's the solution? No one's asking you to give up your favorite foods entirely. But smart choices are the key. If you still want to enjoy nuts, choose plain, unsalted, uncoated varieties, dry roasted at low temperatures. If you crave a bit of flavor, try adding a sprinkle of cinnamon, natural vanilla, or even unsweetened cocoa to enhance the taste without relying on salt or sugar. You can also portion your nuts instead of eating the whole bag. Read nutrition labels to check sodium and sugar content. Roast nuts at home so you can control the ingredients and temperature. And lastly, don't let harmless habits become a burden on your liver. If you found the information above surprising, share this video with your family and friends, especially those in middle age or older, so we can all take proactive steps to protect our livers and overall health. If you think salted or crispy fried nuts are the only hidden culprits, think again, because the most dangerous assassin sometimes isn't salty, sweet, or crunchy. It doesn't need to be coated in sugar or sprinkled with salt. It simply sits quietly in a corner of your jar, in a sealed plastic bag, waiting for the right moment to become a real threat to your liver. We're talking about aflatoxin, a toxin produced by mold that can silently weaken your liver without you ever realizing it. Remember that jar of roasted peanuts in the kitchen that hasn't been opened since last month? Or that bag of cashews you bought to snack on while watching TV? If you ever noticed a slightly odd smell, a darker shell color, or a greasy texture, you might have unknowingly come into contact with aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is a toxin produced by certain strains of mold, such as Aspergillus flavus and Aspergillus parasiticus. These aren't rare molds. They exist in the air, in the environment, and are ready to grow on any kind of nut that meets the right moisture and temperature conditions. And the concerning part is, aflatoxin is not easy to detect with the naked eye. It has no distinct color and no strong smell. But once it's there, it can become the silent cause of liver cancer. According to a study from the U.S. National Institutes of Health, NIH, aflatoxin is one of the most potent natural carcinogens known. Once inside the body, it is metabolized by the liver into byproducts that can damage DNA in liver cells. The result: Not only does the liver weaken, but the risk of developing cirrhosis, chronic hepatitis, or even primary liver cancer, one of the most dangerous cancers in older adults, significantly increases. What troubles health experts the most is that aflatoxin doesn't cause immediate symptoms. No stomach pain, no fever, no rashes. Everything happens silently, like a shadow. It builds up little by little, like drops of water falling on stone over the years, until one day, your liver can no longer keep up with the task of filtering toxins. One very important point: don't confuse sprouted nuts with moldy ones. While sprouting can occur in humid conditions and isn't necessarily dangerous, mold, especially the faint green or white kind, is a potential sign of aflatoxin. And this isn't just theoretical. Take a real-world case. In 2004, over 100 people died in Kenya due to aflatoxin poisoning from moldy corn. None of them thought that a familiar food, stored right in their homes, could become a biological weapon, silently taking lives. You think that only happens in Africa? In reality, in the U.S., the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has issued multiple recalls of imported and domestically processed nuts due to aflatoxin levels exceeding safety limits. And these incidents often go unpublicized to the general public, unless you're someone who closely follows food safety bulletins. For older adults, weakened immunity, reduced liver function, and lower detox capacity make even a small amount of aflatoxin potentially far more damaging than it would be for a healthy younger person. And here's the troubling part. Even so-called healthy nuts, peanuts, cashews, almonds, walnuts, can become breeding grounds for mold if not stored properly. Wondering how to avoid this invisible assassin? The answer isn't complicated, but it does require care. Always store nuts in sealed, dry, and cool containers. Avoid buying unlabeled or loose nuts, especially from street vendors or informal markets. Don't consume nuts past their expiration date or with an unusual smell or taste. Don't hesitate to discard any bag of nuts that shows signs of moisture or mold, even if only a few nuts appear spoiled. You might be thinking, I've eaten them for years and never had a problem. But imagine if your liver could speak. What would it say? Maybe it has been gritting its teeth all these years, quietly filtering out every particle of aflatoxin. And with each effort, your liver cells have slowly worn down, bit by bit, in silence. If you've made it this far, tell us, have you ever come across a nut that looked or smelled off, but still hesitated to throw it away? Share your story right here. It just might help warn hundreds of others. You should never underestimate these seemingly small and harmless nuts, because now, after going through all these warning signs together, you've probably realized the liver never speaks up, but every choice you make about what goes into your body each day leaves a silent mark. And sometimes, the very foods we trust as healthy turn out to be the inside agents of silent killers. Let's look back together. Bitter almonds, raw cashews, and unprocessed walnuts, all containing cyanogenic glycosides that can release cyanide inside the body, a toxin so lethal it rivals arsenic. Then there are salted nuts, seemingly innocent snacks, yet they place enormous strain on the liver and kidneys, especially in older adults with fragile blood pressure. Next, fried and sugar-coated nuts, crispy and flavorful, but a feast of oxidized fats, feeding silent inflammation within the liver. And finally, the most dangerous of all, mold and aflatoxin, colorless, odorless, giving no warning, yet capable of causing irreversible liver damage. Now, you might be wondering, should I stop eating nuts altogether? The answer is no, not. Eating nuts isn't the problem. The problem lies in how we choose, process, and store them. When chosen wisely, nuts are a rich source of plant protein, healthy fats, and valuable micronutrients. But when altered by the food industry, or by our carelessness, they can become invisible stones that slowly shatter the liver from within. Nuts, if you think about it, are like old friends. When they're fresh, clean, and properly stored, they're a wonderful gift for your health. But when they become moldy, spoiled, or tainted by reused frying oils or excessive salt and sugar, Those very friends can turn their backs on you without you even knowing it. Your liver doesn't hurt right away. You won't feel dizzy instantly. But the damage builds up, and it's real. And now, we want to hear from you. Have you ever thought that these familiar nuts could be harmful in such a way? Have you ever ignored a warning label or held onto a pack of nuts with a strange smell because you didn't want to waste them? Leave your message below. Every story you share isn't just a note to yourself. It could also be a wake-up call for hundreds of others. Help us spread this information, not for the channel, but for the community. Because sometimes a single share, a like, or a subscription from you could help someone avoid an unnecessary battle with illness. And don't leave just yet. We still have so much more we want to bring you. In our next video, we'll reveal the foods that truly support liver health every day. Not rumors, not hype, but facts backed by scientific research. Stay tuned so you don't miss it. Because liver care isn't just about medication. It's a journey made through each small meal, each simple daily choice. We know you care about your health, so let's walk this journey together. You and us, as informed, proactive, and responsible older adults. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and don't forget to share this video with your loved ones, because a healthy liver is a priceless gift that everyone deserves to receive.